Well, today I'm showing you how to do a seascape, and I'm going to be focusing on the angle of the wave, the eye of the wave, and the crest of the wave. So this is going to be a very interesting lesson. All right, let's go get started. Okay, now I want you to listen to me very closely because I'm going to tell you how I started. This is a black gesso canvas, and it's a 16 by 20. And I've covered the canvas with a clear oil medium, and then I put a tape across about 6.5 inches up from the bottom, so it's just a little below a third of the way. These are the colors that I'm going to be using, and I'll have a list in the description below of all the materials. So to start out, I just added Indian yellow right here, and then I went into crimson and then blue on the top. Then on the bottom here, I mixed green, phthalo green and blue, and a little bit of brown on the bottom. So starting out with my 2-inch brush, my landscape brush, I want to start going into my yellow here. I'm going to start lightening this color. And just through the miracle of the way I can work the camera, I'm going to speed this up a little bit so you don't have to watch all of it. But blending out that yellow, then going into the crimson, blending that crimson out, and mixing the two together a little bit, and then going into the blue and working my way upward. Now this is a night scene. Well, it's not really night, it's just kind of dark. And so this, I've added white to the blue, which gives it that kind of a dark color. A very interesting night color. So once this sky is completed, you can blend it to as much as you want to blend the colors together. I've taken a little bit of alizarin and blue and white, and I've just made a lavender color. And with my filbert brush, I'm just making a few of these little shadow clouds. I think they just add a little bit of extra something in this night sky. Now you can put these, you can make just a streak if you want, rather than just actually a cloud, or you can do these clouds just by making this little rounded circle shape. And you can just put these anywhere you like, but if you don't want to put these clouds in, that's perfectly fine. You could have just white clouds if you preferred. I just thought this darker color was kind of interesting. And I'm bringing a little bit of this dark down into the pink too. I just wanted a little bit down here, but I'm not going into the yellow. And just put that in any way you like. Now the next step is just taking my 1-inch brush, my landscape brush, and I'm just very lightly going into the bottoms of these clouds. All I want to do is just kind of smooth it out just a tiny bit because I'm going to be adding white, and so that'll help it kind of blend together a little bit better. And just kind of bring these streaks out on each side. Okay, now with my filbert brush loaded with white, I'm just going in on the underside of these clouds because my sun would be striking the underside, and so that would be the lighter side. You would not have white on top of the clouds. That would look a little bit strange. Okay, then just take your blending brush and just go underneath those clouds and just kind of smooth that out and just rough it up a little bit. Now you notice I'm switching back and forth between these two brushes. That makes it easier for me. You could, if you wanted, just do all the white underneath the clouds first and then do your blending. But I don't know, I just chose to do it this way. So do it whatever way is easiest for you. And just make sure you hit the undersides of the clouds. And if you want a few white streaks here and there just all by themselves, that would be fine too. And again, like I said, if you don't want to have any clouds in your sky, then definitely don't put any in. And here's the last cloud. Just put that white in, smooth it out a little bit, and then just blend it out. Very, very simple sky, yet it's got a lot of personality. At least I think it does. Okay. Now I want to go back into this yellow color with just pure white on my 1-inch landscape brush. I want to brighten this quite a bit because this is where I'm going to put my sun. So lighten this to any degree that you like and just blend it out so it's nice and smooth. Then with your finger, just put a little sun right down here. And I'm about a third of the way in from the left side. But it makes a nice little glow there. So now with my filbert brush, I've taken a little bit of yellow and crimson and white, a very light color. And what I'm going to do is just make some clouds down here underneath on either side of the sun. These are going to be very different clouds because they're kind of pinkish, and they're almost like a storm cloud coming in. My voice is very rough today. I don't know what's going on, but sometimes it gets that way. I have a little allergy towards flour, and every once in a while I'll have a piece of bread or something like that, and it just makes my throat hoarse. So anyway, it's one of those strange things. Anyway, with my 1-inch brush, I'm just taking underneath the cloud, doing little circular motions. And I'm just blending that down towards the horizon. Just keep on blending it down. And then let's just kind of mesmerize it, just going back and forth. Now, if you're picking up some paint on your brush, go ahead and wipe it off in between these little brush strokes. You don't want to see any paint up above those clouds. So this is actually just feather light touching it. It is just so light you can just barely touch the canvas. It makes it blend beautifully. It makes those clouds just kind of just fade right into the background. And that's kind of what you want. So again, a little more mesmerizing here. And just keep on blending that until you like it. Clouds are so forgiving. You can just about do anything with clouds, and it's going to be okay. So don't be afraid of them. Just be brave and just go for it. So now that's starting to look like it's just really blended in there. It's just really nice. Okay, now I want to come down a little bit further, and I just want to highlight with my filbert brush and just pure white. I'm just like where the sun would hit these clouds. Look for little high spots and just put a little bit of the white in there. That'll make the clouds glow. And it looks, I call this the ugly stage. You know, you always have to go through this ugly stage before something really looks nice, but this is going to turn out so good, I promise you. So just blend that down underneath. Just bring that white down. Let's go to the other side. Do a little blending over there. Mostly you want that white pretty strong above the cloud. And then as you come down, just blend it out more. And just keep working on that. Interesting colors. I like these colors. I want to bring this side down, oh, a little bit further. And now let's blend again with the 1-inch brush. Little circles. Smoothing it out. Isn't that nice, the technique? It just really is interesting. And with that black background underneath, I don't know, it just kind of adds a different dimension to the clouds that you'd never get that with a white canvas. It just would not show up like it does with the black canvas. I love working with a black canvas. They are so neat. They just are wonderful to work with. Keep blending that out. You notice sometimes I go left, sometimes I go right, making the brush strokes. It doesn't make any difference how you do it. So now very softly again, just go over these tops of the clouds, very, very softly. Just back and forth. That's really making that sun glow. This is actually an original painting. I did this, I actually created this painting. It was an 24 by 36. It's a very large painting. And I've had some people have seen that painting and they said, oh, they love that painting. Why don't I do a tutorial on that? And I thought, my gosh, that big one took me days and days and days to do. I could probably never paint that for a tutorial. But then I was looking at it the other day and I thought, well, why couldn't I paint it as a tutorial? I couldn't go into maybe the same amount of detail that I did on my original, but I can come fairly close. And with all my editing and taking out the parts that are immaterial, I guess I was able to accomplish it. So anyway, this is the final part of the clouds now. We're just blending that out towards the bottom. Just making it nice and smooth. Don't you think that's a pretty sky? Now I would definitely not leave these clouds out in your painting. I would add these clouds, at least try. It'll add a new dimension to your painting. See, now this is starting to look very, very nice. Big big crisscross strokes. See, isn't that nice with those little dark areas? There's some really light areas and some really dark areas. So now let's take this tape and remove it. Now if you noticed, I put that tape right over the oil, my clear oil medium. It doesn't make any difference. You can leave the oil, you can put that tape on before you put the oil on, or you can just go right over the top of it. It's fine either way. So then with my 2-inch brush, I'm just taking off where I smeared the paint a little bit and got a little bit low. I'm just blending that all in so it's not real obvious. And just lightly, lightly, lightly smoothing out this line here. Okay, now I want to start a little bit of land area. So I have green and a little bit of brown, and I'm just making a sort of, well, some land area, but kind of like a triangle. It's not straight flat on the bottom, it's coming down a bit. And I've added more brown at the base because it would be a darker color there, especially behind the sun where it is. Let's go over to the other side. I want to add a little bit of land area back here also. So again, this is just sap green with a little bit of burnt sienna in it, or dark sienna. And just coming right down, I'm going to go right down into the water a little bit. adding some dark brown. Just blend that right into your water. And with my liner brush and the dark brown with just a touch of green, I'm going to add way distant palm trees. I want an odd number of palm trees. In other words, I don't want 2, 4, or 6. I just want an odd number. And when I'm making these palm trees, all I do is just make this little stick, you know, the trunk of the tree. And then with just the tips of the brush, just kind of bring out these little palm leaves. There would be a little bit of shadow there underneath these palms. And I think let's just have a bigger one here because it just looks like I need to break up that line so it's not like 3 in a row. You never want to have just a straight line of things. So that's good right there. Now the other side, I'm going to do the same thing. Just pick out some spots here where I just think there would be a few distant trees. Bringing out those little palm branches. You don't have to be super careful with this because they're so far away that all you want to do is just basically make a suggestion of it. It's not like making a perfect tree at all. See, we'll have a couple over here. So they're spread out a little bit. Yeah, I need one or two more over on this side too. Just to break that up. Also to add a little interest back there. There, that's great. Okay, I'm using the large knife this time. You can use the small knife if you'd prefer, but I'm just going to a little roll of paint on the knife, and I'm just making little taps at the horizon line, very small taps. This is where the water is, and we're just going to go off to the left a little bit and off to the right a little bit. And I'm concentrating my light more towards the center. I don't want to get much light on the outer edges. And just keep tapping. That's good. Now with my 1-inch brush, I'm just taking and just very lightly going across the top of the water. Now see how it's picking up that blue? That gives it a more distant look. So you'd have your brighter water in the background, and as it comes forward, it gets more of a tint in the color. And now I want to just sort of start blending the water into the ground area. Let's add some more white down here. And I want more light under the sun here, definitely. Just little taps. Now your sun may be in a different place, and that's fine. Wherever your sun is, that's where you want your lightest light. And again, just lightly, very lightly go across. And look how that just makes it look like water. It's like ocean water with way distant waves out there. So now I want to start the wave, the main wave that I'm going to have. So with my filbert brush, I'm going to start like underneath, my peak will be underneath the sun, come down, and just go off to the right side. Now you see this slant here? If you notice the ocean, if you ever watch the ocean, you'll notice almost always there's a slant like that, always to the left or to the right side. In other words, your wide part is to the left or your wide part is to the right. So I've decided I'm going to have mine this way. And let's just add a few more lines here. These are just going to be little waves areas. I kind of got smeared that one up a little bit. That's okay, it won't make any difference. Okay, now with just a kind of a rocking, it's almost like a banana. You just want this little rocking motion. And what I'm doing is I'm starting to bring some of that white back. I want to save the dark, but I'm bringing the white back into the water so that it looks like there's a lot of movement there. See how that looks? How that makes that little rocking motion makes that water look like it's actually moving. Here I got it too thick. I want to take a little bit of this off because this is where the eye of the wave is, and I want that nice and clear with just yellow and white and just the slightest touch of green, just a very slight touch. I'm just filling in the eye of the wave under the sun. And I'm going to keep adding a little bit of white to it because I want this to be a little bit brighter. Still a little more white. And when you're working on your painting, you can see how it's working. Let's do a little bit in this back waves here too. I think that would be pretty. It'd be like the sun would just hit those two little spots there. So still some more white. It's still not light enough for me. So now just blend that out a little bit. A little to the left and the right. You don't want those two back there very obvious. They're just kind of hidden. So now just blend out the bottom of that eye of the wave. And you notice it's thicker towards the left side and it thins out as it goes to the right. Now with my fan brush loaded with white, just come over the top, the crest of that wave. Just little tiny pulls. And try not to go over it too many times or you'll totally destroy the wave. So now with my filbert brush, I'm going into lavender, that lavender color that I had before for up in the clouds. This is underneath the wave. It's going to be the shadow of the foam, and a little bit up here at the top, and just coming off to the right side. Perfect. See, these are just little round, little circular motions. Now with white, let's just go in and start underneath the foam. This will be the underneath curling part. Just start making circles, little circles, and filling in the white. And every once in a while, give it that little pounce to make that little splash. And be sure and wipe your brush off frequently because see how it's picking up so much paint? I'm going to try, let's try the fan brush here. Yeah, that might even work a little bit better. You can use a fan or the filbert, either one. Everybody seems to have a different preference. I do kind of like the way the fan brush will make a splash. And then with my blender brush, let's just start blending this out. Be very, very careful with this. I'm just using the little corner of the brush, if you can see that. It's just a very little corner. And just blend that out into the water. That's looking pretty good. I like that. Oh, got a little hair there. Okay, blend out this little piece here. And over on this side, you don't want an obvious big blob of white there. And now kind of make that curl, just kind of curl around, kind of like a C, backwards C shape. Because that's where the water actually rolls up over the top and it just kind of curls over. And let's just do a couple little wave patterns here with the filbert brush. That's just white, that's all I have on my brush. I'm just kind of wiggling it back and forth. And now with my liner brush, just very kind of lightly hit the tops of these, the waves in the background. And you notice I'm doing this under the white part so that it really makes the dark stand out. And again, just if it's too light, just lightly blend. See now, look at the depth that has created. Isn't that is just so nice. Okay, now we're going to make a little bit of a water line down here underneath. I'm using my large knife. I've got a load of white on it, and I'm pressing really firm and wiggling my knife as I go to the right side. And then with my fan brush, oh no, I'm sorry, my filbert brush, just take and pull that water to the right, keeping it just absolutely as level as possible. Let's do another one of these. And keep noticing that angle. Pull that water out to the right side. See how it picks it up, and it just looks like it's laying flat. The water is just laying flat there. Okay, now I want to start doing a little bit of rock formation. So I have just dark brown, black, and a little teeny bit of yellow ochre in there. I'm just filling this in. It's going to be a large rock. With my filbert brush and a little bit of yellow ochre, I'm just making a few little highlights, but I'm not liking that. Let's try the knife. Oh, this is much better. I love a knife for doing rocks. You know, there's just something about a knife that you just can't do it with a brush, not that quite the same. So anyway, just a little bit of rock formation, a little bit of highlights there. And then with my fan brush and a little bit of green with yellow ochre in it, I'm just lifting upward, making like a few little grassy areas. Or it could be moss. It could be moss in the rocks. Now on the right side of the painting in the front, let's go ahead and just make a little bit of land formation there. Again, it's just sap green and just a tiniest little bit of dark sienna. And just fill that in. And add some dark brown to the very corner, because it would be darker in the distance there. And with my filbert brush and some white, let's just go ahead and put some water lines under the rock here. Now you could do this with a knife. I just had the brush in my hand, so I just used the brush. I love doing these seascapes. I don't do very many of them, but I really love doing them because they're just, I don't know, something about it. It just, I guess it's because it reminds me of Hawaii and warm weather, and I don't know, it's just, I love it. Adding a little bit more ground here. And let's add a little bit of yellow ochre just for some highlighting and for some color variation on the grass. You'd have a lot of highlight closer to that center area. And now I'm just kind of lifting upward and just kind of roughing up that grass a little bit, adding a little bit of dark to it. It just gives it more texture. Just a little upward lift on the brush. Try not to smear it. Don't smear the paint. Just lift upward. Okay, we're going to do the palm tree. The first one here is a little bit of a curve, and here is the shadow coming off. You know where the sun is? The sun would hit the ground and you'd have that little shadow there. And of course we have to have at least 2 trees. See the shadow there where the sun hits? Make sure that there's a little shadow on both of those. So now with my fan brush, I'm just making the spikes kind of it's almost like an umbrella, just where I want the leaves to be, the palm leaves. Just making a little lines there. And that's for the smaller tree. Now let's do one for the bigger tree. I love doing palm trees. It's probably well, I love doing evergreen trees too, but I think palm trees has to be my second favorite. It's tropical. They're just, oh, I love palm trees. They're just so great. Okay, I'm filling in this center a little bit because always there's a clump of something, it seems like, in those palm trees. So now when I'm going to start this, notice I touch and I press and I bring a swoop down. Just a little swoops. Try not to go over this too many times or it will destroy the leaf, but definitely keep a thicker part towards the base of the palm tree. It's always thicker at the base, at the center. And these are just quick little strokes. Like I say, try not to go over it too many times. And you can make as many palms or as few as you like. Let's put a little one here. And let's hop over to the big tree now. These palms would be maybe just a little bit larger. Those look really nice against that background. And I like those little palms in the background too. I think that adds a lot. And a few more palms here. Remember, don't go over the same place too many times. And one up at the top here. And a teensy one over here. And with my ochre color, I'm just making a few little dabs, like it might be coconuts in there, or who knows what. It's just something there just for interest. And a little bit of upward motion for the grasses down low. Just kind of rough up that edge a little bit. Highlighting. Now don't highlight too much on this back side because there wouldn't be a lot of highlight there. Now with my liner brush, just a few little water streaks, like water splashing over the rocks. Okay, now let's do some flowers. With the filbert brush, I dipped into crimson and then a little touch of white on the tips. And the crimson flowers, I think, really add a nice touch to the color. It kind of matches up with the sky a little bit. So let's do some yellow ones. The same thing as just yellow with a little touch of white on the tips. And let's even do some lavender ones, a few little lavender ones. You can put any color of flowers you want, or if you want a bush or something, or if you just want grasses down there, that's fine too. So now with a little ochre on my brush, a little ochre and brown, I'm just rounding out the trees, the palm trees, the trunk of the trees. Just a little swoop. I'm not pressing very heavy at all. So I've got to have my birds, as you know. So put your brush in, bring it down, push, and then come up. And that makes the body as well as the actual bird. And I want on this side just a couple of birds. And on this side also I want a couple of small ones just for interest in the background. They'd be a different size and color than the big larger birds. And then with white, because seagulls are white, so I'm doing the tops of the birds white so that they would just be underlining dark on the bottom. And this last one here, let's just go ahead and do that one. Bring it down and push and then lift again. And if you want, you can wait and do those when the painting is dry. So there's the painting, it's finished. And here's a couple more you might enjoy. Thank you for joining me today. Bye-bye.